On August 28, 1963, 200,000 Americans came to Washington to demand complete freedom for everyone. This is the story of that day.
Your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on.
Well, if the FBI would investigate,
Yeah.
then probably then we could integrate.
Yeah. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on.
When we look at the civil rights movement in United States history, we commonly think about the individuals such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a fearless leader who sought a world in which all peoples of race could peacefully coexist. However, it is seldom that we pay any mind to the African American women's rights movement, and with the absence of thought, we lose sight of the leaders who stood by it to fight for the world in which we see today. Among these leaders is a woman by the name of Dorothy Height. Height was born in Richmond, Virginia in 1912 and grew up in Rankin, Pennsylvania, where she attended racially integrated schools and proved herself to be a phenomenal student and talented orator. In a national oratory competition, Height won herself a college scholarship. Height used her scholarship to get into the college of her choice, Barnard. However, after being accepted and then rejected on a basis of quotas, Height took her scholarship money and talent and enrolled in New York University. Here, she received a series of degrees such as her bachelor's in education and master's in psychology. Right out of college, Height worked as a social worker, but soon joined the YWCA staff of Harlem, where she met Mary Bethune and joined the NCNW. In 1957, she later became the president of the NCNW and established its Center for Racial Justice in 1965. Height worked with leaders such as MLK and the other 5 of the Big Six of the Civil Rights Movement. She herself was a primary organizer of the March on Washington, where MLK gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. However, in regards to the March on Washington and women's rights, she later wrote that the male civil rights activists were happy to have women in the family, but there was no question as to who headed the household.
Is that I've tried to stay the course, that I've tried to focus on rights for women, for men, for everyone. And this has been my direction, and I think my greatest contribution probably is that I've stayed in a struggle, and I'm still in it at 98.
After retiring, she continued to run the NCNW as well as organize many other projects to push forward and strengthen the African American community. She was later awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Bill Clinton and the Congressional Gold Medal from Barack Obama. Although Height lived in the shadow of many of the men of the civil rights movement, she shall not be forgotten for her life which she devoted to removing barriers between not only races but genders as well. And to this day, the hidden figure, Dorothy Height, is renowned as the godmother of the civil rights movement. And for her contribution to the women in the civil rights movement, Dorothy Height deserves to be placed as an APUSH Hall of Famer.
To honor her life of service to the cause of equality and justice, and to give her back to God in gratitude and hope.
There are Americans whose names we know. They are leaders whose legacies we teach. They are giants who fill our history books. Well, Dr. Dorothy Height deserves a place in this pantheon. She too deserves a place in our history books. She too deserves a place of honor in America's memory.
Tell me what do you give when you've given your all? like you can't make